Hello, so like 99% of you guys must have seen the second trailer for Avengers Infinity War. It looks amazing. Like, honestly, I cannot wait. I didn't make a video on it just because I wasn't really sure if I was going to watch this trailer because I don't want to spoil anything. I've waited 10 years for this. Literally my childhood. So I want to go into this movie not really knowing too much about it, but I watched the trailer anyway. And damn, got my tickets for midnight, and one of the strange things as well is like it's releasing worldwide on April 27th, but over here in the UK there are screenings for April 25th and April 26th. So I've booked my ticket for midnight on April 26th, which is the evening of April 25th. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, got my ticket for midnight. Cannot wait. What is going on, guys? My name is Cameron and this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 109, and I actually really like this cover of the comic. I think it's really awesome how you can get like a close-up shot of Spider-Man with all of these other characters not really being shown but sort of having their hand in the cover of the comic, and you can tell which character is who just by what they're holding in their hands. It's awesome. Now guys, going back over to the Avengers Infinity War trailer, what did you guys think of it? Just let me know in the comments below because I haven't made a video of it just because I didn't want to watch it in the first place, but then I decided to. I would love to talk about it with you guys. There's so much stuff in it that, like... Obviously, when I go to see it, I will be making a video on it when I go to see it and everything because I want to look back on this in 20 years, say, I was there when this movie released. Like a good example is like my dad. He always talks about how he took his dad to see the original Star Wars movies and stuff like that. And so I think it'd be really awesome just to be able to look back in a video and be like, I was there when Marvel made the Marvel Cinematic Universe and actually brought Thanos in. Like, Jesus. It's going to be so good. But anyway, moving on, this is a comic review, so Ultimate Spider-Man issue 109. We've got to go over what happened in the previous issue of Ultimate Spider-Man issue 108. So we saw Moon Knight create the Ronin personality to become Kingpin's brand new bodyguard known as the Fist. Now this was a little bit of a bad idea because the personality of Ronin actually took over all of the other personalities and became the dominant personality to control obviously the body and everything like that, and therefore he invaded Peter Parker's high school, knocked out Kitty Pryde, and then actually kidnapped Spider-Man. We also saw Mary Jane chasing the career of becoming a journalist, and she's actually really good at it, and you could see that Jessica Jones and the other guy, which I can't remember his name right now, was very impressed and actually signed her up to do this sort of like full time in high school and like, you know, with everything like that. That's really cool, and as I've already said in the previous review, it's so interesting to see Mary Jane, who's such a popular character, go on to something that's a little bit like different compared to what her 616 counterpart would be in the main universe, because obviously Mary Jane in the main comics, The Amazing Spider-Man, she becomes like a model, or at least she did do, and so to see the ultimate version of Mary Jane sort of going in a different direction but still maintaining her familiar Mary Jane character is just so good. One thing we didn't get to see though was Peter and Kitty Pryde sort of going more over as to what happened between them with Mary Jane and like their whole relationship thing. It didn't really get mentioned in the previous issue, and so it would be nice to see that coming up very soon, but we won't do just yet. Yeah, the previous issue rounded off with Spider-Man being kidnapped by Ronin and being taken straight to the Kingpin, and that is where Ultimate Spider-Man issue 109 is going to pick up in this review. Follow me on Instagram and let me know what you thought of the Avengers Infinity War trailer in the comments below. Let's get into this review. Let me know if you know where that's from. So we open up the comic to Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, in the middle of a case hearing, and what I really like about it is that we've also got Foggy there, which is like pretty much Matt Murdock's best friend and also colleague, and that just seems really cool because even though this is an Ultimate Spider-Man comic and an Ultimate Spider-Man series, we're getting the lives of these other characters bleeding into these comics along with the sagas and the storylines. So this is the Ultimate Knights, and therefore including Daredevil, etc., introduces the lives of these characters as well. But moving on, this comic introduces us to a side of the Kingpin that we've not actually been introduced to too often in this Ultimate Spider-Man series. I mean, we've seen Kingpin plenty of times in this series, but not quite like this. I mean, Kingpin looks like an absolute beast in this comic. And something that I really like about the Ultimate Spider-Man series that it doesn't really do too often with its villains is that it actually turns their villain sagas into really dark pieces. So for example, we had the Dr. Octopus saga and everything like that. it wasn't really too dark. But in the recent Clone Saga with Dr. Octopus, that was a much darker Clone Saga with Dr. Octopus as the main villain, showing a darker side of him. And that is what they're doing with Kingpin now. They're actually showing a darker side to the Kingpin character. And of course, it's fairly obvious that this Ultimate Knight saga is focusing on the Kingpin primarily. And especially with what's happening on screen right now, this saga definitely puts across that the Kingpin is a major threat. And if you have anything to do with the Kingpin, then you better make sure you stay on his good side. Because this saga definitely puts across that there will be consequences if you cross his path this time. And that's a really good and cool thing, because we've seen Kingpin so many times, but not quite like this. But just going back to what we just saw on screen right there, so we saw Kingpin actually know that Ronan was Moon Knight. He beat the living daylights out of him, and then Kingpin said something that planted a thought in the mind of Peter Parker, and that was the fact that Kingpin said that Daredevil works for him, which of course is only half true. Matt Murdock is the lawyer for the Kingpin, but Kingpin doesn't actually know that Matt Murdock is the superhero Daredevil trying to take him down, but he does now. And so that's planted in the mind of Peter Parker that Daredevil is actually the bad guy in this situation. And that's something else that's great about this saga, because Kingpin holds all the cards. Kingpin's controlling everything in an instant, and it's great because this is the first time we're properly seeing it like this. So, getting even further into this comic, I love it the way Brian Michael Bendis has included Doctor Strange into this issue, with having this whole situation of Daredevil being able to sense that Spider-Man and the Kingpin, etc. were all there in this room, and Daredevil physically picked up the telephone and phoned Doctor Strange requesting for his help. And I thought it was a really interesting way of actually including Doctor Strange in this situation, because obviously he can create some spells that can lead them to the way of where Peter's being held and sort of know what's going on and everything. It's really awesome, and it's just a really interesting concept to go off. And basically it's just a great idea to have Daredevil and Doctor Strange be of use in this comic, in this situation. I also think it was hilarious how Doctor Strange doesn't actually know that Daredevil is blind. So when he's showing him all these things with Spider-Man and Kingpin like lay on the desk and everything, Daredevil can't see that, and Doctor Strange is just like kind of confused because he's like, how do you smell? I thought it was funny how Doctor Strange didn't really click onto that, but I think the visuals in these panels right on these pages are just pure awesomeness. The colours, the way that the art design is done and everything, it is great, and it's really refreshing to look at, especially because this comic saga is so dark. The colours look great, basically. And again, going back over to Daredevil actually caring about Spider-Man, it was so awesome to see Daredevil actually standing up for Spider-Man when Doctor Strange said that Spider-Man sold Moon Knight out, and that's why Kingpin beat Ronan up, etc. And that's why Kingpin found out about Ronan being Moon Knight, etc. But Daredevil actually knows that Spider-Man isn't the type of person to do that. He's actually got values, and Spider-Man would probably die before actually revealing someone's identity, etc. So, turning over the page, we can see all of the heroes have met up on this rooftop, still not having found Spider-Man. And I think one of the darkest concepts of this entire issue is the fact that Iron Fist has sold out the entire group to Kingpin, and now Iron Fist is standing there in front of Daredevil knowing that he's sold every single superhero out. Like, that is the worst thing ever, to not only betray your friends, but to then also stand among them as well afterwards. Like, Jesus. But suddenly, out of a twist of events, Spider-Man actually launches himself at Daredevil, and this is obviously going back to when Kingpin planted that thought in his head that Daredevil works for the Kingpin, and this entire group being made with the heroes and this meetup and everything was all part of Kingpin's plan, which of course is a lie. But this is one of the most badass moments in the comic for Spider-Man specifically, because if you watch carefully, Spider-Man is actually picking Daredevil up with his bare hands. And if you think about it, Spider-Man is literally just a 15-year-old kid. Like, he's super strong, but it doesn't even look like he's trying. So in a way, Spider-Man is technically showing off sort of like his true power, like he's pretty much stronger than everyone there, and he's barely even doing anything. But of course, even worse events arise because Kingpin knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. He's actually taken upon himself to blow the office up of Matt Murdock, and that is when everyone realizes that obviously Daredevil isn't the one who's betrayed everyone. And I think my favorite panel in the entire comic is when Matt Murdock realizes that it's Iron Fist who's actually the one who's betrayed everyone. Like, he can hear his heartbeat, and just in the background you can sort of see Daredevil click on that it's Iron Fist, and it is pure brutal rage that is coming out of Daredevil right now. When he gets a hold of Iron Fist, you do not want to be in those hands in that moment, because it doesn't look like Iron Fist is going to get out of this one unhurt. Like, there's definitely something going to happen. That is it for this comic. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward to what happened next. But let's go back on camera and talk about some of the highlights and rate the issue. Yeah, Daredevil seems super pissed off. If I was Iron Fist, I would be really scared because he did not look like he was messing about. His office has just been blown up. Kingpin, who Matt Murdock is actually a lawyer for, has just found out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. And obviously it's all Iron Fist's fault. Now, going over to what we just saw on screen, but I might as well start at the end of the comic. Daredevil's powers basically allows Daredevil to hear the heartbeat and obviously smell the blood pressure and the sweat and all that crazy stuff. And so he knows for sure that Iron Fist is lying and that he's actually told Kingpin something and all that. Like, it's just crazy. And you could see the moment of realization when Daredevil picked up on Iron Fist's heart rate so bad. Like, I would not like to be there with Daredevil right now. But one of my favourite moments of the comic was when Peter Parker was actually being interrogated by the Kingpin. I mean, just look at how awesome Kingpin looks in this. He's got his shirt off, he's just like wearing his vest. It's almost like he's taken off his suit because now it's time to get down to the real business. And it's really interesting to see Kingpin actually take matters into his own hands, because he rarely does that. I was also smiling throughout the entire issue when Kingpin was explaining that he owns the copyright likeness to Spider-Man, so as long as Spider-Man keeps being Spider-Man, Kingpin will continue to earn money just off that. And of course, the best moment was when Kingpin sort of kept prodding him with like that Spider-Man action figure teddy bear sort of thing, like really rubbing it in his face. Like, so as that interaction continued with that interrogation, one of the most surprising moments in the entire comic was when Kingpin turned around and actually grabbed Ronan by the throat or by his entire head. I can't actually remember, because he knew Ronan was actually Moon Knight. And that is just crazy. What a twist, because you're thinking that Ronan is working with the Kingpin and like the Ronan personality is like going all crazy, and for Kingpin to turn around and throw that curveball into the comic, Jesus. But of course, that's going to leave Moon Knight / Ronan in a really bad shape. Like, you're going to have to wait until the next issue to see what happens to him, but it's not good. It is not good. Something else I liked about the comic was how Brian Michael Bendis included Doctor Strange into this comic, and the way his character and his powers were actually utilised to further the story and the development, etc, etc. And of course, coming from Doctor Strange, I actually really liked it how Daredevil cared for Spider-Man. It was so sweet because obviously Daredevil is more of like a really cold and firm character, especially when he's in the presence of Spider-Man, but secretly Daredevil knows that Spider-Man is a 15-year-old teenager kid. Like, he doesn't really know what he's getting himself into half the time, and he definitely cares for Spider-Man's safety and well-being, and it's shown in this comic, and it just makes you like Daredevil all that more because you know that really he cares. But of course, I've already mentioned it just as we finished the comic, the ending part with Daredevil finding out that Iron Fist, of all people, and the fact that they were actually questioning Moon Knight and Spider-Man was right to say that it wasn't actually Moon Knight that did this to them, that betrayed them. It's really cool to see that Spider-Man, obviously with his spider sense and everything, can differentiate certain stuff like that. It's cool. But now guys, it's time to rate this issue. This is Ultimate Spider-Man issue 109, Ultimate Knights Part 4, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Kingpin looked so badass. The ending with Daredevil actually finding out that Iron Fist is the one that betrayed them, so scary. I mean, Daredevil looked super pissed. And the way Kingpin knew that Ronan was Moon Knight the entire time, like, oh my god, so scary. And of course, the next issue is going to be even scarier, especially with what happens to Moon Knight, so look out for that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Obviously, as I said at the very beginning of the video, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Avengers Infinity War trailer, the new one that just released a couple of days ago. And of course, whilst you let me know about that, let me know what you thought about this comic and what you're looking forward to in the next one. And right after you've done that, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. I actually do Instagram stories of like the updates to the videos of me editing. I did an Instagram story of this as well. And obviously, most of all, if you like these videos, if you want more of these videos, hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. See you later. Or goodbye, whichever you prefer.